The moment his mother tried to shame me into signing my home away, I didn't raise my voice. I just slid one envelope across the table and watched the whole family realize they picked the wrong woman. It started with something stupidly normal, my cracked phone screen glowing on the kitchen counter while pasta water boiled over, hissing like it was warning me. My fiancé texted, "I'm at my brother's place. There's an emergency. Don't come over and don't get jealous." I stared at that last part, the casual little knife. Jealous of what exactly? My name's Waverly. I'm 28 and I work as a project coordinator for a medical billing company. I'm not dramatic. I like lists, soft blankets, and knowing where my life is heading. That's why I said yes when my fiancé asked me to marry him. Stability, teamwork, future. So when I got a "don't get jealous" text, my stomach tightened in a way my brain couldn't talk down. I called him, straight to voicemail. I texted back calm, "What emergency? Are you safe?" A minute later, "Pipe burst. Place is flooding. Helping family. I'll crash here. Love you." Pipe burst. Flooding. Okay, that's a real thing. But the jealous line didn't belong in that sentence. It sat there like glitter on a black shirt, unnecessary and impossible to ignore once you saw it. I didn't accuse him. I didn't blow up his phone. I did what I always do when something feels off. I checked details. His brother lived in a condo building with an on-site maintenance team and a 24-hour emergency line. I knew because I'd helped deliver a housewarming gift there once, smiling politely while his brother barely looked up from a game. I pulled up the building's website and found the number. A tired-sounding receptionist answered. I kept my voice sweet. "Hi, I'm trying to confirm if there's an active flooding emergency in the unit on the 3rd floor. My fiancé is helping family there." Pause, keyboard taps. "No flooding calls tonight, ma'am. Maintenance hasn't been dispatched." My fingers went cold around my phone. "Maybe it's not reported yet. If there's water damage, we'd know," she said, like she'd said it 1,000 times. "No alarms, no emergency shutoff, nothing." I stared at the pasta water boiling itself into a mess. My cheeks burned, but not with embarrassment. With that specific anger you feel when someone thinks you're easy to fool. Still, I didn't confront him. Instead, I decided to be helpful. If there was a pipe burst, the fastest way to fix it was a plumber. I found a 24-hour service and booked an emergency visit for the address. I paid the fee up front. Expensive, yes, but I told myself it would be worth it to get my fiancé out of a stressful situation. And if it wasn't true, then the truth was going to answer the door. The plumber called me on speaker while he stood outside the building. "I'm here. Need the unit number." I gave it. My heart sounded too loud in my ears, like I was walking into a room that might change my life. "All right," he said, heading up. Minutes crawled. I kept staring at my phone, watching the screen dim and brighten as if it was breathing. Then the plumber called back and his voice had shifted. Lower, careful. "Ma'am," he said, "there's no flood. Floors are dry, smells like candles, and there's music." My throat tightened. "Is my fiancé there?" A pause. "There's a man here who says he is, but he looks like he's been caught stealing." I swallowed. "Can you hand him the phone?" I heard footsteps. A muffled, "Wait," and then his voice hit my ear like a splash of ice water. "Waverly," he said, too bright, too fast. "What are you doing?" I kept my tone steady. "I sent a plumber because you said a pipe burst." Silence, then a laugh that didn't land. "Baby, it's handled. You didn't need to do that." In the background, I heard a woman's voice, soft, amused. "Just tell her." Every hair on my arms rose. I asked quietly, "Who's there with you?" He exhaled like I was the problem for asking. "It's my brother's friend. She was dropping something off." Relax. Relax. The word men use when they want your instincts to shut up. I didn't argue. I didn't plead. I didn't cry. I just said, "Put the plumber back on." He didn't. He hung up. My hands didn't shake. That's what scared me. I was too calm, like something inside me had already made a decision my heart hadn't caught up to yet. I texted him one sentence. "Come home tonight or pack tomorrow." He responded with 3 bubbles, stopped, then finally sent, "You're overreacting." Overreacting to a lie that had a soundtrack and a woman laughing in the background. I cleaned the kitchen like my life depended on it. I wiped down counters that were already clean. I folded towels. I stood in front of the bathroom mirror and looked at my own face like I was meeting myself for the first time. Then my phone lit up again. Not him, his mother. I stared at her name on the screen and almost laughed, because of course the backup team was already being activated. I answered, "Hello." Her voice was warm in that practiced way, like a salesperson offering you something you didn't ask for. "Sweetheart, I heard you and my son had a little misunderstanding." I almost admired the speed. "Did he tell you there was a pipe burst?" She ignored that. "Relationships are about trust. You can't punish a man for helping family." Helping family. That's what they were calling it. A brand new label slapped over a lie, like masking tape on a broken glass. I said, I didn't punish him, I sent a plumber. Her warmth cooled into something sharper. That was inappropriate. Inappropriate, I repeated softly, tasting it. Not the lie. A pause, then the pivot. I could practically hear her switching scripts. Well, she said, weddings are stressful. Maybe this is a sign you two need to simplify. And speaking of simplifying, your little condo is still in your name only, isn't it? There it was, the real reason she called. Not concern, not love, logistics. My condo was little to me. It was mine. It was the only thing I had that no one could take, because I'd grown up watching women in my family lose everything the moment a man decided they were inconvenient. I'd inherited it after my grandmother passed, and I paid the taxes, the HOA, the repairs. I'd made it a home with my own hands. And this woman was calling, in the middle of her son's lie, to bring up ownership. She continued, gentle again. Once you're married, it should be shared. Don't you want him to feel secure? Secure. The audacity almost took my breath away. Her son was out there lying to my face, and she was worried about his security in my home. I said, I'm not discussing my property tonight. Her voice tightened. I'm trying to protect you. Men don't like feeling controlled. Controlled. That word again. The one people use when a woman has boundaries. I ended the call. No goodbye. Just clicked it off and placed my phone face down like it was something contaminated. I expected him to come home furious, ready to twist the story so I'd end up apologizing for catching him. He didn't come home at all. Around midnight, I heard my front door handle jiggle. Once. Twice. Then the sound stopped like someone realized something. I didn't get up. I didn't call out. I just watched the small camera feed on my phone from the doorbell I'd installed after a package theft months ago. There he was, standing in the hallway with his shoulders tense, checking his pockets like he couldn't believe they were empty. Because earlier that evening, while he was busy telling me to relax, I'd quietly changed the smart lock code. He looked up at the doorbell camera, and for a second I saw it. Not guilt, not shame. Panic. He stepped back and typed something on his phone. My screen lit up with his message. Why can't I get in? I stared at it for a long time. Then I replied with the calmest sentence I've ever typed in my life. Because you don't live at your brother's place. The next message came fast. Open the door. You're being insane. Insane. That was his move. Make me the unstable one so his lie could breathe. I didn't open the door. Instead, I sat at my kitchen table, took a slow sip of water, and made a list. Access, changed. Accounts, separated. Wedding vendors, called tomorrow. Lease, checked. Ring, my choice. Proof, saved. Then, like the universe wanted to sprinkle gasoline on everything, my phone buzzed again. A notification from our shared wedding planning app. Someone had accessed the guest list and started deleting names. His name was on the login history. I watched the screen as if it couldn't possibly be real. Like he wasn't just lying and sneaking around, but actively trying to erase my side of the life we were supposed to build. That's when the calm finally cracked. Just a little. Not into tears. Into clarity. I stood, walked to the file cabinet in the hallway, and pulled out the folder my grandmother had insisted I keep. Deed, insurance, HOA documents, everything tied to that condo. At the bottom was a note in her handwriting, faded but firm. Never let love make you homeless. I pressed the paper flat with my palm and breathed in slowly, because now I understood the shape of the trap. The lie wasn't the main event. The lie was just the doorway. And judging by how fast his mother brought up my home, they had been walking toward that doorway for a long time. The next morning, my wedding planner called while I was brushing my teeth. Hey, she said, voice tight. I just got an email from your fiancé. He says the wedding is paused and you agreed to cancel all deposits. My toothpaste turned to chalk in my mouth. I spit, rinsed, and stared at my reflection like it was going to tell me what to do. I didn't send that. I didn't agree to anything. There was a pause, then the sound of her keyboard. It came from your shared planning account. My stomach dropped, but my hands stayed steady. Please don't cancel anything. Lock the account, change the password, and forward me the email with full headers. She went quiet for a second. You sound very calm. I'm not calm, I said, and it came out almost gentle. I'm just done being confused. I hung up and opened my laptop. First, I changed every password. Not just the planning app. Email, banking, utilities, streaming services, the smart lock dashboard, everything. I turned on two-factor authentication like my life depended on it, because, in a way, it did. Then I pulled up my doorbell footage from last night and saved it to 3 places. I printed screenshots too, because I'd learned the hard way that digital proof becomes fake the moment someone needs it to be. My phone buzzed again. His mother, another voicemail. This time, she wasn't warm. Waverly, this is getting embarrassing, she snapped. My son is locked out of his own home. You're acting unstable and people are starting to ask questions. His own home, my condo, my grandmother. The audacity made my ears ring. I didn't call her back. I called my HOA instead and asked about the rules for removing an unauthorized occupant. Then I called a locksmith to rekey the physical deadbolt, because smart locks are convenient until someone decides to weaponize your convenience. By noon, my front desk neighbor texted me, "Your fiancé's family is downstairs." I looked at my camera feed. There they were, his mother, his father, and his brother, standing in my lobby like they owned the building. His mother held a folder. His father held his chin high, like he was about to lecture a stranger's daughter. His brother looked bored, scrolling on his phone. My chest tightened, but not with fear, with disgust. They weren't here to apologize. They were here to negotiate my boundaries like they were a business deal. The intercom buzzed. I picked up. No. His mother's voice came through anyway, sharp and sugary at the same time. "We just want to talk." "No," I repeated. "Leave." His father cut in. "Don't be childish. Open the door." I almost laughed. Childish was lying about a pipe burst to sleep somewhere else. Childish was trying to cancel a wedding behind my back. Childish was bringing a 3-person audience to pressure me inside my own home. I didn't argue. I hit the button to end the call. They stayed. I watched his mother point up at my floor like she could summon me by force of will. Then she turned to the lobby security guard and started talking fast, hands moving, folder waving. A minute later, my phone buzzed again. A text from my fiancé. "Stop making my parents look bad. Let them in." There it was, not "I'm sorry," not "I messed up," just a demand to protect their image. I took a slow breath, opened my notes app, and wrote one sentence. "If they want a performance, I'll choose the stage." I called my friend Arden. She's an attorney, the kind who wears sneakers with suits and doesn't tolerate nonsense. "I need a favor," I said. Arden didn't ask why. She just said, "Do you want me in problem-solving mode or scorched earth mode?" "Quiet mode," I said. "Clean, legal, efficient." "Good," she said. "That's my favorite." Arden met me at a coffee shop near my office, slid into the booth like she belonged there, and listened while I showed her everything. Screenshots, the planner's email, the doorbell footage, the login history, the "don't get jealous" text, and the voicemail where his mother called my condo his home. When I finished, Arden leaned back and nodded once. "They're trying to move fast before you can think." "Yeah," I said, "but I can think." She tapped the folder I carried everywhere, my property documents. "You're going to do 3 things. 1, send a formal notice that he no longer has permission to enter your property. 2, separate all finances and remove him from any shared accounts. 3, her eyes sharpened, lock down your wedding deposit so he can't impersonate you again. And if they show up again, you call the police. No more conversations." I swallowed. "He's going to tell people I'm crazy." "He's going to do that anyway," Arden said. "Let him. Crazy women don't usually come with timestamps, email headers, and security footage." I walked out of that coffee shop feeling like my spine had been replaced with steel. Back at my office, HR called me in. Not because of him, but because my phone had been blowing up with unknown numbers, and my coworker had noticed my hands were too steady in a way that didn't match my eyes. My HR manager, a calm woman named Colette, shut the door and said, "Is someone harassing you?" I didn't dramatize it. I just showed her the call log, the voicemails, and the lobby footage. Colette's expression didn't change, but her voice did. "We can ban them from the building. We can walk you to your car. And if they contact your employer again, we will document it." The reputation front was already trying to open its mouth. I closed it before it could form a sentence. When I got home that evening, the folder my fiancé's mother carried in the lobby was taped to my door like a threat. Inside was a printed agreement. It said, in bold, that once we married, I would add my fiancé to the deed of my condo to symbolize unity. It had a signature line for me. It also had a line stating that if I refused, I was withholding security from him and creating an unsafe environment. Unsafe because I wouldn't hand over my home. I stood in the hallway holding that paper, and the strangest thing happened. I felt grateful because the mask wasn't slipping anymore. It was off. My phone buzzed again. A message from his brother's girlfriend, someone I'd met once and barely spoke to. "I don't know if you need this," she wrote, "but I saw your fiancé at my place last night. He wasn't at my boyfriend's condo. He came here. He said you were being dramatic and he needed a break. He also said your condo will be his once you get married. That felt gross. I'm sorry." I stared at the screen. The lie had a location now, a witness, a pattern. I replied, "Thank you. Please don't get involved beyond this. But can you write that in an email and include the date and time you saw him?" She sent it 10 minutes later. Simple, direct, the kind of proof that doesn't scream because it doesn't have to. And right around then, right when the pieces clicked into a picture, I need to say this. If you're still listening and you support stories like mine, hit like and subscribe. It helps more than you think. And if you want more long stories with real consequences, share this with someone who needs a backbone reminder. All right, now let me take you back. I didn't sleep much. I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop open and my grandmother's note beside me, and I built something my fiancé could never argue with. A timeline. Not an emotional essay. Not a rant. A timeline. I pulled the login history from the wedding app, saved it as a PDF, and emailed it to myself with a timestamp. I saved the email from the wedding planner, including the header information. I clipped the doorbell footage of him trying the handle, then looking up at the camera with panic. I saved his own home voicemail. I printed his mother's agreement. I saved the message from his brother's girlfriend. Then Arden helped me draft a formal notice. He no longer had permission to enter my property, and any attempt would be considered trespassing. We sent it by certified mail and by email, because people like his mother love pretending they didn't receive things. The next day, he tried a new tactic. He posted online a black and white photo of himself sitting in a car, staring out a window like he was in a sad movie. The caption was, "When you realize the person you trusted was never who you thought." No names, no details, just enough to invite pity. And people came running. Mutual friends messaged me things like, "Are you okay?" And "What happened?" His aunt posted a comment about praying for men who are trapped. His mother shared it with a caption about protecting your son from manipulative women. The social front lit up like a match. I didn't respond publicly. I didn't comment. I didn't defend myself to strangers who hadn't earned my truth. Instead, I used the silent revenge he never expected from me. Right person true. I sent my timeline privately to 3 people only. Not the loudest. The ones who mattered. The mutual friend who'd introduce us, the cousin who worked with my fiancé, and the aunt who'd been planning my bridal shower. No insults, no emotions, just evidence. Short captions, dates written out, screenshots, the security clip, the deed grab agreement. Within hours, the pity parade started to wobble. His aunt removed her comment. The cousin stopped responding to his mother. The mutual friend texted me one sentence that made my hands shake for the first time in days. "I'm sorry. I didn't realize his family was like this." Then my fiancé showed up again. This time, not at my door, at the county records office. I found out because Arden called me, voice sharp. He filed something. My stomach dropped. What did he file? An affidavit, she said. He's claiming you verbally promised him half your condo when you got married. He's trying to create a paper trail. It won't hold, but it tells me what his endgame is. My hands finally trembled just a little. Not from fear, from rage, because this wasn't just about cheating, or lying, or even humiliation. It was about my home, my inheritance, my grandmother's last gift. They weren't trying to win me back. They were trying to win my property. Arden's voice went colder. "Meet me at your condo, now." When she arrived, she didn't come alone. She came with a notary and a calm, older man in a plain suit who introduced himself as a process server. "Waverly," Arden said, "we're ending this today." We signed a sworn statement. My fiancé was never added to the deed, was never promised any ownership, and had been served notice to stay away. The notary stamped it. The process server documented everything. Arden filed a request to flag any fraudulent filings tied to my property. Then, because Arden is the kind of friend the universe gives you when you've suffered enough, she added one more layer. She had me create a new legal entity, an ownership trust for the condo, set up properly, with clean documentation. My condo wouldn't just be mine. It would be protected from exactly the kind of manipulation his family was attempting. Practical front, closed. That night, my fiancé's mother called again. I let it go to voicemail. Her voice was shaking with fury now, not warmth. "You're ruining him. He loved you. He just needed reassurance. You're going to die alone in that little condo, clinging to your paperwork like it will hug you back." I listened without blinking. Then I forwarded the voicemail to Arden and blocked the number. The next morning, my fiancé came to my office building, not to apologize, to corner me. Security stopped him at the lobby desk. Colette came to get me and asked, "Do you want to speak with him?" I looked through the glass. He was standing there with that same sad movie face from his post, but his eyes were angry. His mother was beside him, whispering into his ear like she was fueling him. I said, "No." Colette nodded. "Then you don't." Security escorted them out. His mother turned and pointed at me through the glass, mouth moving in a silent curse. Reputation front, closed. And that's when the big twist landed. Not with drama, but with a document. 2 days later, I received a letter from his father, formal, printed, thick paper. Inside was a copy of a legal complaint they were considering filing against me. They claimed I'd financially abused their son by keeping him houseless. They listed the value of my condo. They listed my grandmother's name. They even referenced the fact that it was inherited, like they were already counting it as family property. They didn't know what I knew, because in my grandmother's folder, there was something else, something I'd never needed to use before. A letter she wrote to me, sealed, with instructions to open it if anyone ever tries to take the home. I opened it with shaking hands. Inside was a notarized statement from years ago. My grandmother had anticipated this exact kind of pressure. The statement named me as sole heir and explicitly barred any spouse from acquiring interest through marriage without my written consent. She had it notarized and filed with her estate paperwork like a landmine buried under the roses. I stared at her handwriting and felt tears burn behind my eyes, not because I was sad, because I felt protected, because even from the grave, my grandmother had seen through people like my fiancé's mother. Arden took one look and smiled like a wolf. Send this to them. So I did. One envelope, delivered by certified mail, containing my grandmother's notarized statement and Arden's formal notice that any further attempts to file claims against my property would be treated as harassment and fraud. Then I added one more thing, a copy of the unity agreement his mother taped to my door, with one line highlighted, the line where they called my refusal unsafe. I didn't add commentary. I didn't add insults. I just let their own words hang them. After that, the universe did what it always does when liars run out of room. It got quiet. His mother stopped calling. His father stopped threatening. My fiancé deleted his sad post. A week later, my wedding planner emailed me, relieved. Vendors are secured. No changes were made. Also, I'm sorry. I should have verified before I believed that email. It's okay, I replied. Now we both know what impersonation looks like. I canceled the wedding myself, on my terms, with my voice steady and my name attached to every decision. It hurt, but it was clean. And then, the last little twist came, soft as a closing door. My fiancé texted me from a new number. I didn't mean for it to go this far. My mom just wanted to make sure I wasn't left with nothing. I stared at that sentence until it blurred. Not, I hurt you. Not, I lied. Not, I betrayed you. Just, he wanted my home. And his mother wanted to make sure he could take it. I typed one response. You were never going to be left with nothing. You were going to be left with me. You chose paperwork over love, and now you get exactly what you asked for. Then I blocked the number. The fallout didn't explode. It collapsed. Mutual friends drifted away from him quietly, the way people do when they realize someone's story doesn't match the receipts. His mother stopped posting inspirational quotes about protecting sons. His brother's girlfriend unfollowed him and followed me instead, sending one message. You dodged a whole family. As for me, my condo stayed mine. My locks stayed changed. My wedding dress went back to the boutique. My weekends became quieter in the best way. A month later, I was sitting on my couch with my cracked phone screen still unrepaired, sipping tea, when a notification popped up. My condo trust documents had been officially recorded. I looked around my living room, my grandmother's framed photo on the shelf, my plants by the window, the dried flowers I once bought for a wedding that didn't deserve me, and I whispered the only truth that mattered. The one that landed like a mic drop inside my own chest. I didn't lose a fiancé. I saved a home.